I was 23 when Betty introduced me to Bob. Betty was an older lady. She had white hair and kind eyes, and I'd met her on a plane. I was going from Austin back to London, where I'd lived up till that point, but I'd just got myself a job in Austin, and I'd met her on the plane, and I told her that when I came back, I wouldn't know anyone. And she said, honey child, she said, maybe I can fix that. I've got a really nice young man who lives next door to me. He's a kind man. He looks after my husband and I. We're getting on, you know. And he's got his own business, and I hear he's doing very well for himself. Here, and she gave me a card, and she said, when you come back, phone me and I'll introduce you to him. His name is Bob. And that's how I found myself in her living room 4 months later, being introduced to the man himself. Now, Betty had told me several things about this man, but she hadn't told me that he was a hunk. 6'2", broad shoulders, piercing blue eyes, and soft blonde hair. The kind of hair you want to run your fingers through, and which you should do, often. Because it's the kind of hair that will be completely gone by the time a man is 35. And he looked me up and down and he said, well, Betty told me a few things about you, but she didn't tell me that you were quite lovely. He said, I've got a few days off. May I squire around town, show you the sights? And I said, well, thank you, Bob. I'd love to be shown the sights by you. Thank you. And over the next few days, and then weeks, and then months, Bob did take me around town, and we had a wonderful time together. We laughed and we joked, and every night, when he brought me back to my front door, I wanted him to kiss me. And he never did. Oh. He introduced me to his friends, and we all got on so well together. And at night, when Bob brought me back to my front door, sometimes I'd think as he leaned towards me, he's going to kiss me. But he never did. He introduced me to Tex-Mex food. We didn't have it in England at the time. And sometimes, when I watched his thick, sensual lips eating chili con queso, I'd think to myself, oh, I'd love to be that queso. Or better yet, the chip. But one day things changed. Bob phoned me up and he said, Geraldine, I've been thinking, I'd like to take this relationship to the next level. May I take you out on Saturday, just the two of us, somewhere lovely? Oh, wonderful, marvellous. I'll pick you up at 7. And he put the phone down. I thought, how exciting. Bob wants to take this to the next level. And so over the next few days, I did what many women here would have done in similar circumstances. I started to practice my new signature. 2 children, I thought. Zach and then Zelda. And then I went to buy myself something low and flowy, and I curled, tweezed, and exfoliated every hair into submission, so that at 7 o'clock on Saturday, I was poetry in motion. Bob picked me up. He took me to a lovely little French bistro. The lights were low, a candle flickered on the table. Bob had the beef en croûte, and I had the bouillabaisse. And then at the end of the evening, he took me to his car, and his hand brushed against my naked forearm, and every hair on my body stood on end. We got to my front door. I said to him, would you like to come in for cocoa? He said, I'd love to come in for cocoa. My hand was trembling so much I could hardly get the key in the door. I made the cocoa. I brought it into the living room and set it on the low coffee table. It remained untouched, but wisps of steam came upwards and mingled and then continued sensuously upwards. Bob leaned in towards me. I leaned in towards Bob. Bob leaned further in towards me. Zelda first, I thought. And then Zach. Bob leaned even further into me, and then he brushed something off his leg and he went, that is disgusting, I'm out of here, good night. And he got up, left the room, and I heard the front door banging behind him. And I thought, I knew it, I shouldn't have had the bouillabaisse. There was too much garlic in the bouillabaisse, I shouldn't have had the bouillabaisse. And that's when I saw it. That's when I saw what Bob had brushed off his leg. It was a roach. Oh. This wasn't just any old roach. Oh, no. This was a Texas-sized roach. This roach was the size of a baby's foot. And something happened at that moment. Hatred for roaches entered my heart. I wanted to kill every roach I found. They'd mess with my love life. Nobody messes with my love life. I did research. I discovered that the best way to kill roaches is with borax or fire. Now, I didn't think my landlady would want me to torch the place. And so I mixed cocoa powder, and I had a lot of it left. I never touched it after Bob left. I mixed cocoa powder with borax, and I spread it everywhere. And I said, come on, little roaches, come and have this lovely cake mix. You're going to love this cake mix. My addiction reached a higher level. I discovered roach motels. I put them everywhere that I thought roaches would promenade. Come on, little roaches, I said. Come and stay in this lovely motel. The first night's free. You won't need a second night. Come and bring your significant other. I'm sure you've got a significant other. Bring your Zach and your Zelda. I'm sure you've got a Zach and a Zelda. I found this addiction for killing roaches getting an even higher level when I discovered roach bombs. Now, this is the SAS professional level of killing roaches. You put one in the middle of a room. You seal up every crack and crevice. You light the bomb. You have 30 seconds to get out of the room. You seal up the door behind you, and you don't go back in for 36 hours. And when you do, you're walking over a thick, black, crunchy carpet of roach carcasses. Oh, joy. Of course, you also have a thin veneer of poison over every surface. But I thought that was a mild price to pay for such mass devastation. Well, by day, I was doing the new job that I'd got. And at night, of course, I was involved in murder on a very large scale. But I was still surprised that men were phoning me up. Not Bob. I didn't hear from Bob. But I had so many other men phoning me up, asking me out for dinner, that I phoned my mother. And I said, Mother, darling, I've got a problem. I said, you know my love life, it's either feast or famine. Well, at the moment, it's feast. And I've got so many men asking me out for dinner that I don't have enough days in the week. What should I do? And without a hesitation, she said, darling, eat dinner twice. And so I took her advice, and a few months later, I rolled out of Austin. And I didn't go back in for 2 decades. And during that life, during that time, my life changed enormously, as all of our lives change in that amount of time. But life does have a way of bringing us back full circle. And 2 decades later, I found myself in Austin. And the first night I was there, I thought, I wonder if anyone remembers me. And I got an old phone book, and I found Bob's name. And I called him, and he answered. And he said, oh, Geraldine, of course I remember you. Of course, I've wanted to contact you so many times over the years, but I lost your details. I wasn't quite sure how to get hold of you. We've got so much to talk about. Let's not do this on the phone. May I take you out on Saturday? Oh, wonderful. Are you still staying with the same friend? Marvellous. I'll pick you up at 7. And he put the phone down. And I thought, who would have thought it? After all these years, I'm going out for dinner with Bob. And then I had a sudden thought. I thought, I really should tell him about some of the changes in my life. But I wonder what the protocol is for that. Does one tell somebody something serious over drinks or over the entree or over dessert? Well, at that moment, the phone rang and it was Bob. And he said, Geraldine, I just have to tell you one more time how excited I am that you're back in town and that I'm going to see you on Saturday. And I thought, Geraldine, seize the moment. So I said, Bob, I'm so looking forward to seeing you too, but I have to tell you, things have changed. I'm a minister now. And he said, yes, things have changed. I'm gay. Bob did pick me up on Saturday, and I would have known him anywhere. He still had the same broad shoulders, the blue piercing eyes, and yes, he was completely bald. He took me to a lovely restaurant, and we had such a good time getting to know each other in a whole new way. And I felt at that moment that I could forgive roaches and start with my healing. And when he brought me back to my front door, I was absolutely satisfied when he just gave me a peck on my cheek. And I said goodbye and I went inside and I realized that things had worked out exactly as they were meant to. And that we'd been spared years of misunderstanding and even possibly heartbreak. And that's when I had a knowing, one of those times when you just know something. I thought to myself, I bet it was God that sent that roach.